Hi, I'm Shri, and this is my partner Gabriella. Today we'll be talking about the anatomy of the snail, which we've provided an image of to the left, along with comparing it to the anatomy of the frog. These are some fun facts about the snail and frog's taxonomy. Snails belong to the Animalia kingdom, and their phylum is Mollusca. They're under the Gastropoda class, and their order is Stylomatophora. They belong to the Helicidae family, and their genus is Helix, along with their species being Helix aspersa. The frog belongs to the Animalia kingdom, and their phylum is Chordata. They are under the Amphibia class, and their order is Anura. They belong to the Ranidae family, and their genus is Rana, along with their species being Rana foreri. Snails can adapt to a wide range of terrestrial habitats, ranging from moist to dry landscapes. They mostly live under leaf litter and adopt diverse strategies to live on desert lands. They are a type of decomposer and can become invasive species.
The ecological habitat for frogs is most frogs live in aquatic habitats such as lakes, streams, and ponds. The reason why most frogs live in these aquatic habitats is because reproduction happens mainly in the water because frogs start as tadpoles in at the larval stage for the water and then they metamorphose into the adult stage, which happens on land, which they can finally go on land. So frogs can be found both on land and in water. Their skin is highly permeable, and because of this, they are good indicator species of how the environment is doing because their skin is able to take in water, which also includes acid rain and other types. The food web of the ecosystem of the two animals, snail and frogs, is snails are on the lower chain of the food web, while frogs are a bit higher. The reason this is the reason for this is because snails are on the lower end of the food web, and they are mainly herbivores and carnivores. So snails can eat worms and even other types of snails, but they can also eat dirt, grass, and fungi. While for frogs, they are strictly carnivores, so they eat only animals such as snails and other types, and they can even eat bigger prey if they're able to digest. The snail mating patterns and behavior is snails are both have both male and female reproductive organs. They reach sexual maturity between the ages 6 weeks and 5 years. Before they begin their intercourse, snails go through courtship, which ranges from 2 to 12 hours, yes. And the courtship is mainly around dancing. They do a type of dancing. And in the final stage of their courtship and before mating, snails shoot love darts. They try to shoot love darts at each other. And these love darts are made and stored in the dart sacks. And these love darts are made of either calcium or chitin. And this is for sexual selection, and this is to increase reproductive success. The way the sperm is transferred is multiple ways. It can either be transferred from both snail to snail, both transferring sperm to each other, or one transfers sperm to another, so one snail transfers sperm to the other snail. The frog mating patterns and behaviors is they mate between March and late June. Females prefer males who make their calls either long and frequent or near a pre-made nest. If the female population is low, male frogs will wrestle each other to protect their area and to be able to have more success in mating with the female. And while mating occurs, males will embrace the female frogs, which is called the amplexus. And after a female frog has laid an egg, four or more males will fertilize this egg, which creates more genetic diversity.
So in the following slides, we've laid out side-by-side pictures of the internal organs of both the frog and the snail. In this slide, we talk about the digestive system of both organs, or both organisms. A frog's digestive system consists of the oral cavity, the pharynx, the esophagus, stomach, and the small and large intestines. The stomach of the frog stores food and mixes with enzymes to begin digestion. The snail's digestive system has a buccal mass esophagus, crop, stomach, intestine, and rectum. So the frog's excretory and reproductive system contains a pair of kidneys, ureters, cloaca, and the urinary bladder. While the snail's excretory reproductive system consists of primary organ of excretion, which is the nephridium and the dart sac, in order to fertilize each other's eggs. And as you can see from the image to the right, the red arrow points to the snail's dart sac. So the frog's respiratory system contains of the skin, lungs, and the lining on the mouth. You can see the frog's liver with the image to the right, while the skin allows the respiratory gases to readily diffuse directly down between blood vessels and its surroundings. Whereas the snail's respiratory system contains of the trolungs. Snails can breathe oxygen through dry air and don't have to rely on water through the lungs that they have. So as for the circulatory system, the frogs contain two hearts, two atria, and a single ventricle. And you can see the heart with the image on the right. While the snails have two chambers, one ventricle, and one atrium. The frog's nervous system contains the brain, the spinal cord, and the nerves, which is within the organs, whereas the snails have clusters of ganglia or nerve cells. This is a general comparison between the two that we made. So some structures that the snail and the frog had in common include the fact that they both have a kidney, and the snail contains a heart, and the frog contains the conus atrius of the heart, and they both have one ventricle. Two features that are different include the snail having a coiled shell, while the frog has shorter back legs and drier skin. So talking about the external features. And the foot of each organism is located in a different area for each organism.
In the phylogenetic tree, the snail and the frog's most common ancestor can be located at point D. So from this most recent common ancestor, the features that they share are they are multicellular, they have specialized tissues, they are triploblastic, they have bilateral symmetry, and they both possess body cavities. The features that are different from this point is snails are protostomes, so their mouth develops first at the blastopore, while frogs are tetrastomes, so their anus develops first at the blastopore, while their mouth develops second. So from this phylogenetic tree, I would want to make the prediction that the reason why the snail and the frog evolved to have different features is because they were both introduced in the Cambrian period, which was about 541 million years ago, and the Cambrian period is known as the Cambrian explosion for the reason of a diverse set of species were introduced. So during this period, the molluscas, chordatas, and other types of animals were introduced. The world was starting to warm up a bit, and oxygen levels were increasing. to be able to hold as much animals as they can due to this diversity. And the animals that co-evolved with the mollusca are the Annelidas, rotiferas, and the platyhelminthes. And they both, and those types of phylums are a type of worm, and they're all most can be found in the water, along with some snails. Snails can also be found in the water, so I believe that's the reason why they co-evolved with each other. And animals that co-evolved with the chordata are the echindermata, and uh, in the phylum Echindermata, a animal is a starfish, which can be found in the water as well. So I believe the reason why they also co-evolved is because they also started in the water, as chordatas started with the water as well until they started to evolve and adapt onto land. So that's why I believe they co-evolved. And the new predators that were introduced during this time period were the chordatas, as shown in the previous slides. The snail's predators were a frog, and amphibians specifically were not introduced until 365 million years ago. So I feel like another reason why snails probably started to come on land was to get away from the frogs, to get away from their predators. And maybe another reason for frogs evolving onto land is, well, since their prey was going away, they probably wanted to follow their prey and be able to have more area on getting prey, both on land and in water. And I feel like the reason why they have similar features is, but they evolved differently, is because they both started out in the water and they both transitioned to being able to go on land and water, but it's not because of a common ancestor. So in conclusion, the traits of the snail and the frog are analogous to each other. So because they have similar traits, they developed in similar environments of being in water and on land, but these traits are not from a shared common ancestor.